Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
Carol is, okay, she says, imagine going beyond the boundaries of who you believe yourself to be. So Carol is that one person who is an NLP master. She's a master firewalk instructor. And what gives Carol a buzz is that to make you think and feel differently and to experience the world differently. Carol has an ability to see a deeper perspective within each person that allows the process of growth and expansion on an easier and a more joyful experience, almost like a dance. She's known to be an NLP expert in the Middle East. Carol utilizes many tools and techniques to create rapid shifts, along with the Psych K, the timeline therapy, hypnosis, sound healing, light language breakthrough experiences, including fire walking, working with Kambu, and indigenous healing medicine. She is actively involved in plant medicine renaissance. She's also an author of You, the Divine Genius. Her passion is to create opportunities and expansion in awareness, consciousness, and heart and mind, basically allowing every individual to step into a fuller focus of who they really are. Carol, thank you so much for being our esteemed speakers for today. And your topic for today is light language and Psych K mentoring. Please enlighten us about this. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and good morning from a very sunny, beautiful day in Dubai here. Just a little caveat there. My topic, actually, what I'm going to speak about is You, the Divine Genius, and also how to stop the world, which incorporates a lot of what I do. So I don't know whether any of you remember the story of Aladdin. Aladdin was a poor boy who came across a magic lamp, and when he rubbed the lamp, a genie appeared and granted all his wishes. Well, of course, the story is pure fiction. Or is it? Because I believe there's a genie, a genius, inside each and every one of us. Just for a moment, consider that from the moment that we're born, we're taught our race, our color, our gender, we're given a name, we're sent to school, and we're taught a specific history that may or may not be true. So actually, we're held in a very limited paradigm. So in this very short session, what I want to do is to give you a tool that will help you start to tap into that genie, that genius that I believe is in each and every one of us. So before I start, here's a question for you all to consider. What do you think is the biggest barrier to tapping into that genie, that genius within? Now, when I ask that question, people often say, well, fear or not wanting to step out of the comfort zone. And you may be surprised to know that actually the biggest barrier, what creates that resistance, is your very own conscious mind. Because your conscious mind is constantly analyzing, criticizing, and judging everything that's going on, whether you know it or not. So it's reactive, it responds and reacts to other people, to what's going on in the outside world, and it's judgmental. So here we are, digging deeper into the 21st century. New changes, new technology, the pace of change, and of course, it's been a particularly disruptive year, has led people to higher degrees of anxiety and stress. And maybe you found yourself flying off the handle or your mind racing with 1,000,001 thoughts. So if I could show you a way to tone down those thoughts, to be able to tap into that genie, that genius within, would that be useful? Because that's what I want to do, give you this tool or technique to make this a very practical session. So if your conscious mind is the biggest barrier, what do you think is the biggest bridge to connecting? Now, of course, it would be easy to say, well, it must be the unconscious mind or the superconscious mind. But we actually need to dig a little bit deeper. I'm not sure whether any of you heard of a man called Carlos Castaneda. back in the 60s. He was an anthropologist and interested in altered states. So you could be mistaken for thinking 60s altered states, we're talking LSD there, but no, that's not what I'm talking about. You may have read some of Carlos Castaneda's books, but he met a shaman called Don Juan Martes. And Don Juan Martes said to Carlos Castaneda, what you need to do is stop the world. And Carlos Castaneda went, what? Don Juan Martes said, yes, what you need to do is stop the world. Now, Don Juan Martes wasn't talking about literally stopping the world. He was actually talking about what we call in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming terms, we call it the AD component. He was talking about the self-chatter that we often have going on that keeps us so busy inside our head. And the degree to which you are talking to yourself inside your head is the degree to which you're not being present, when you're not being in the moment, in the now, and stops you from truly connecting. Let me give you an example of this. In my introduction, you heard that I teach people to walk across burning hot coals of about 1700 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm a firewalking instructor, and this is such a beautiful, powerful event. But what happens is usually at these events, we have a videographer, we have a photographer, and everybody knows that. And yet, despite knowing that, I find that the majority of people miss the whole event because they're busy behind their camera or behind their smart device, which means they're double dissociated from the event. They miss the excitement, the energy of the fire because they're dissociated. They're behind a camera. So this is what we mean by, when you're busy in your head talking to yourself, you're missing the whole experience. You're not being present. So what is the biggest barrier to connecting with that genie, that genius within? Is it the self-chatter? What's the biggest bridge? The bridge is state, being in the right state. And if I could show you how to access that particular state that will quiet the mind, would that be useful? Because that's what I want to do here. And remember, it was Einstein who said that you cannot solve a problem on the same level it was created, which means when you access different states or different brainwave cycles, you are privy to different information. So let's quickly go. I know I haven't got too much time for this presentation, so let me quickly go through the different brainwave cycles, and let me see if I can share my screen for this. I think you may find it easier. Yeah, this is sharing. Okay, so let me just get this up. Here we go. So the first brainwave cycle, the one that we're most familiar with, is beta. And actually, beta is a very narrow bandwidth of information. In terms of brainwave cycles, it's about 13 to 40 cycles per second. And the higher up the scale you are in that, towards 40, the more stressed you're going to be. And when you're stressed and anxious, the mind is going, that chattering inside your mind is going. You're not able to be present in the world. You're not able to tap into that genius within. So it's a very narrow bandwidth of information. And it's also, out of all the brainwave cycles, it's the one that keeps you very left brain. So this is when you're reading, and maybe when you remember being at school and looking out the window and your teacher saying, hey, the answer's not out there, and brought you back to beta. Actually, the answer is out there when you go and explore the right brain. If you're driving a car and you're only seeing the bumper of the car in front of you, that's beta, and that's when most accidents happen. So it's a very narrow bandwidth of information. So we really want to change that. And so the next brainwave cycle, when you slow your brainwave cycles down, is alpha. And alpha is a relaxed state. It's probably between 8 to 12 cycles per second, and it's expanded awareness. When you can notice the patterns how things fit together. This is where you start to appreciate when people say we're all connected, or when people talk about unity, because this is expanded awareness and you see how everything fits together. So it's a relaxed and very valuable state. I'm going through these quickly, by the way, because I really want to get to that experience for you all. Then, if we slow the brainwave cycles down further, you've got theta, which is probably between 5 to say 7.5, 8 cycles per second. And most mystical experiences actually happen in this brainwave cycle. Remember I said different information is available in different brainwave frequencies in different states. And you may have heard of theta healing. So in theta healing, they're able to drop their brainwave cycles down. Thereby they can access and get a deeper understanding of what may be going on with their client, what may be bothering them, the issues, and work on it and create solutions from that state, from that brainwave cycle. And then we've got delta. Now, delta for most people is going to be deep sleep. Yet, even though it's a very slow brainwave cycle, maybe 1.5 to say 4 cycles per second, if you think about it, in sleep, many mystical experiences happen. This is where out-of-body experiences or astral travel can happen. Now, in recent years, there's other useful states that have been discovered. You may have heard of gamma, which is very, very high frequency above beta. And this is when you're kind of engaged in an exercise, if you love painting, or you're engaged in something where time disappears. So it's a very, very useful state, feelings of love, feelings of gratitude. Two other states that you may not have heard of are epsilon and lambda, and more research is being done on these brainwave frequencies, and really that's for another session. The brainwave cycle that I'm interested in helping you access very, very quickly today is alpha. So how do you get into alpha really quickly? How do you literally stop the world and use alpha to tap into that genie, that genius within? Well, we use our eyes in 2 different ways. We use our eyes with foveal vision and with peripheral vision. Now, foveal vision is when you're looking at your smart device or reading something, when you're in that very narrow bandwidth of information, so it's beta, okay? And in beta, in foveal vision, this narrow tunneled vision, this is hardwired to your sympathetic nervous system. And your sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. It's a stress response. So it's not a very useful state to stay in for large periods of time. And yet most of us, particularly in this disruptive time, find ourselves in beta, 1,000,001 thoughts flying off the handle and in stress. This is because you're hardwired to your sympathetic nervous system. Peripheral vision is linked to alpha. And peripheral vision is expanded awareness. Here's the other thing about peripheral vision. It's hardwired, it's connected to your parasympathetic nervous system. And when you're hardwired and connected to your parasympathetic nervous system, it's impossible to have a negative emotion. It's impossible to feel stressed, to feel anxious. And it slows down the thoughts inside you, quiet the mind. So it's a very useful state to get into to start, say, a meditation, or to become still, to become present. In fact, the Hawaiian kahunas means the shamans in the Hawaiian tradition, they call this a very prized state of being. They call it hakalau. And in case you're wondering whether they're sort of wandering around like zombies, absolutely not. In fact, they're very alert, they're very aware of everything that's going on. And if there's an accident, the first people on the scene would be the Hawaiian kahunas, because they're very aware, when you're in peripheral vision, of everything that's going on, to see the connectedness. Remember what I was saying about alpha, the unity that's going on. So how do you go into peripheral vision? Very, very quickly. And remember, this is a state that many of us go into, but we're just not aware of it. So I want to show you how to get into it very, very quickly. So the best would be if you could stand up. And if that's not possible where you are, I'm not going to stand up. I'm going to stay seated, because if I stand up, then what you're going to see is just my torso. So I'm going to stay seated. So if you're standing, make sure you're standing with your feet hip distance apart, arms down by your side. And this is important, unlock your knees. Doesn't mean bend your knees, but just unlock them so there's no tension in your knees and your spine is straight. If you're going to stay seated for this, then again, stay seated upright, arms just gently in your lap, and instead of having your legs crossed, make sure both feet are flat on the floor. And what I want you to do is, you're not moving your head up, you're keeping your head looking at the screen, except your eyes are not going to look at the screen. So your head and it stays straight, you're not moving your head. But I want you to move your eyes up like this. So move your eyes up, and what I want you to do is pick a spot up on the wall. You're moving your eyes up to that space between your eyebrows towards your third eye center. Now, a good space to focus on is that space where the wall meets the ceiling. All right, so move your eyes up to where the wall meets the ceiling and pick a spot and just stare at that spot. And what you'll notice as you just stare at that spot is that you probably want to take a deep breath in and out, that your breathing will slow down. And as your breathing slows down, there's more space between your thoughts. Now just come back and look at the screen again, or look at maybe something on your desk, read, because that brings you back into beta. And I don't want you to keep you with your eyes up for too long, because then you can get eye strain. But we're going to do this 2 more times, okay? And again, I'm conscious of the time. So what I want you to do is, again, if you're standing, unlock your knees, arms down by your side, stand up straight. If you're sitting, sit up straight so your spine is straight, arms just gently resting in your lap. Move your eyes up to where the wall meets the ceiling and find a spot to focus on. You're not moving your head up, your head stays still, just moving your eyes up. And as you do that, just focus on that spot and notice how quickly your breath slows down. And as your breathing slows down, notice there's more space between your thoughts. Now expand your awareness. So even though your eyes are focused on that spot, you can still notice what's going on in the screen. So you may notice that I'm moving my hands, even though you're not moving your face, you're not moving your eyes, but you can still see that I'm moving my hands. You can be aware of what's beyond the screen. You may hear the buzz of the screen or your device. You may hear other noises around you. Just notice and become aware of the stillness this creates in you. And again, bring your attention back to the screen. Again, don't want to keep you up there too long. 1 more time if we've got time. I think we have. So again, just move your eyes up. Again, find that spot. Notice how quickly your breathing slows down. And as your breathing slows down, notice there's more space between the thoughts, and expand your awareness. So even though you're not looking at the screen, you can see me moving my hands wider. So expand your awareness round to either side of your head, maybe behind your head, even though you're not moving your eyes. Expanded awareness, hear different sounds. Maybe sounds going on within your body, the sound of the screen, or if you've got air conditioning going, or the heating. Good, and then just come back in once again to look at the screen. Now, when I ask people how they feel when they do that, they say it's almost immediate that they feel the need to relax the breath. that they find there's more space between the thoughts. And, you know, I often do training days, which are very long, from maybe 8 in the morning till 7, 8 at night. And maybe they're 12 days consecutively. And people say, you never look at your notes, Carol. How do you remember everything? When your mind is still, you can be present with what's going on, and everything comes to you that you need in the moment naturally and easily. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go around with your eyes up the whole time. That wouldn't be practical. But what I am suggesting is, if you do that a number of times, it'll train you and give you the feeling of what it's like to be in peripheral vision, what it's like to drop into alpha. And you can utilize that, whether you're about to do an important presentation, or whether you're feeling stressed and too much noise going on there, or whether you're about to enter into meditation. Many people tell me, oh, Carol, I find it challenging to meditate because it's busy, busy, busy in there. What if you use this technique to drop into alpha immediately, so that you can tap into that genie, that genius within, and ask the more important questions in your meditation? Who am I really? What am I really here to do? That's when you can tap into that genie, that genius, and get better answers when the mind is still. So for Aladdin, all Aladdin had to do was rub that magic lamp and a genie appeared and granted all his wishes. Now you know all you need to do is to change your focus, go into peripheral vision, drop down into alpha, and you truly can stop the world and tap into you, the divine genius. My name's Carol Talbot. It's been a pleasure to share this short session with you, and I hope you found benefit. Many thanks.
Thank you so much, Carol.
My pleasure.
We are the genies, and you just taught us how to drop to the alpha state. And such a valuable insight for all the people watching this. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So it's a small token of appreciation from our side on the digital background. The World United presents the World Parliament on Spirituality 3, a certificate of appreciation to Carol Talbot for being an esteemed presenter in the 3rd edition of the World Parliament on Spirituality 2020 Asia. Thank you so much, Carol. You've given us tools to stop the world. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just a quick shout out that please, anybody's free to contact me. And if you want to know more about what I've just talked about, then there's free programs on my YouTube channel. I put all my programs up for free. So just search Carol Talbot and you'll find them all there. I love to hear from you as well. So many, many thanks. And my gratitude to Dr. Yugandhar for putting on this amazing, amazing event all over the globe. I have no idea how tired he must be, but I'm just in awe of what you've created. Kudos to you. Thank you.